Kyle Larson has just revealed his big plans for next year after winning the Brickyard 400 this weekend. And this plan involved doing something he could not do this year: win 2 races in one day. Hopefully NASCAR will be on his side once again next year, because he could once again be needing a waiver. But will they hand it out again next year, after knowing what happened this year? And will Larson really be able to compete in 2 races in a day and be in contention for the win in both? Kyle Larson was unable to complete the double in 2024 because to severe weather at both Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it looks he will try the feat following season. Larson teased the reveal during his post-race interview to celebrate his Brickyard 400 victory on Sunday evening. "I love you, Indiana fans," he stated. "I know you love me too. How about we come back next May and try to kiss these bricks in an Indy car?" Larson was unable to offer complete confirmation of his plans when asked for more information, but he did come close. "I'd love to," he said about attempting the double again. "We're working on it. I hope we can announce something soon. See you guys all next May." The double is achieved when a driver completes all 500 miles of the Indianapolis 500 before immediately traveling to North Carolina to complete all 600 miles of the Coca-Cola 600 Cup Series event. Tony Stewart is the only driver to complete the double, and he did it in 2001. Larson completed all 200 laps of this year's Indy 500 following a weather delay. However, he was unable to be in North Carolina in time for the start of the Coca-Cola 600. Larson did not finish any laps in the number 5 Chevrolet because rain and lightning brought out the red flag when he arrived at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The race never restarted. Larson missed his first race since the 2020 season and had to obtain a waiver from NASCAR to be playoff eligible. This procedure took many days, which NASCAR SVP of Competition Elton Sawyer describes as putting the sanctioning body in uncharted waters. This one, again, was unprecedented in the fact that we had a driver miss one of our races, one of our cup races, a championship event, to be at another event, Sawyer told ESPN in June. So that's why it took as long as it did. Kyle made every attempt to get to Charlotte, NASCAR SVP of Competition Elton Sawyer said. He was standing in the pit box with his helmet on, ready to go. Larson needed a waiver because he missed the start of the Cup Series race at Charlotte Motor Speedway on May 26th. Rain delayed the start of the Indy 500 by 4 hours, reducing Larson's built-in time buffer for traveling from Indianapolis to Charlotte. Hendrick Motorsports and Larson decided to stay in Indianapolis. Thus, Justin Allgaier began the Coca-Cola 600 in the number 5 Chevrolet. Allgaier became the event's record driver. Larson arrived to the Concord, North Carolina track during the 3rd stage of the Cup race, but was unable to finish any laps owing to a thunderstorm in the region. NASCAR never resumed the race, declaring Christopher Bell the winner. When the red flag was raised, Bell was in the lead. Larson will now has 4 race wins and 8 stages, and will be eligible to compete for the regular season championship again. Why has NASCAR taken so long to make this decision? Sawyer noted that they were in unknown seas in this circumstance. In the past, those waivers have been given mostly for medical reasons or situations where drivers were suspended from our event, and those waivers were granted fairly quickly, Sawyer told the crowd. This one, again, was unprecedented in the fact that we had a driver miss one of our races, one of our cup races, a championship event, to be at another event, so that's why it took as long as it did. While Larson made every effort to return to Charlotte Motor Speedway to finish the race, he preferred a rival series. NASCAR could have denied the waiver or granted it while imposing a points penalty on Larson and Hendrick Motorsports. NASCAR did not go this path for several reasons. The first is that NASCAR's rulebook states that it can give or refuse a waiver. Sawyer explained that they would have had to go further into the rulebook, which didn't feel right to the sanctioning body. The other reason NASCAR decided not impose a points punishment is that Larson had already left points on the table. There was an opportunity there for the 5-car and Kyle to gain roughly 8 playoff points by winning the race and winning each stage, according to Sawyer, and also padding his point lead in the regular season that would ultimately get him 15 additional points. Time will tell if those potential 23 points that were on the table that he didn't get, how that will unfold as we go through the playoffs. Larson's tease on Sunday evening clearly raised issues for Rick Hendrick, the owner of Hendrick Motorsports and Larson's supervisor. Hendrick said he hasn't decided if Larson would return to Indianapolis in May, but he said so with a smile. Larson gave further explanation in his post-race press conference. I mean, we definitely have been talking about it. I think weighing what's important to everybody, Larson told reporters. It sounds good, I'll say so far, but things could change. Yeah, we'll see. I would obviously love to do it. I think everybody knows I would love to do it because in my mind, I did not get to do it this year. I didn't get to at least do the double. Yeah, I hope that the pieces can fall into place and we can hopefully get things put together and announce something. Get excited about doing the double next year. Larson signed a 2-year contract with McLaren Racing, meaning he has the option to return in 2025. McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown has openly voiced a wish to collaborate with Hendrick Motorsports and Larson again. According to McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown, the matter has already been discussed with Hendrick Motorsports co-entrants. We have spoken about it, and we just want to give them a little bit of space to think it through, Brown said prior to the running of Sunday's Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. I would love to have Kyle and the Hendrick organization back next year. I think we can win it with him. Kyle Larson could stick the car on a pole and win the Indy 500. He was as strong as anyone all day, and the drive he did, the way he conducted himself with the team, sponsors, media, fans, was just first class. Working with Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon and their whole organization was amazing. We'd love to do it again. The decision by NASCAR to offer Larson a waiver to run in its playoffs marked a constructive end to an awkward post-Indy predicament. Larson had planned to accomplish the 1,100-mile double by participating in the Indy 500 and then flying to Charlotte to compete in that evening's 600-mile NASCAR race. However, due to a lengthy rain delay at Indy that pushed the finish time to nearly 8 p.m., as well as subsequent weather delays at Charlotte, the 2021 Cup champion was unable to drive his number 5 Hendrick Camaro after starting 5th and finishing 18th at the Speedway when a pit lane speeding penalty derailed his solid run at the Indy 500. If McLaren and Hendrick team up again to accomplish the double, Brown says they'll start by applying what they learned on race day at Indy and making any necessary tweaks to handle any delays if they arise. I think it's unfortunate that it rained and it compromised their NASCAR race because that was the worst-case scenario for them, he said. I'd like to think the odds of 2 rain delays in a row are pretty small, but that's me being selfish. We had a great experience and I'm so appreciative. Kyle did an unbelievable job and should be very proud of his efforts. And we should all be thanking him for the effort he put in. What do you think? Will Larson drive the Indy 500 again next year? If so, would you support him doing that? And do you think he could win it like Zak Brown is saying? I do think it's fun to see him do this, only hate the fact that the Indy 500 is before the NASCAR race, which means the NASCAR will always come second on the day. Other than that, it's very cool to see. Hopefully he'll be able to show us all next year what he's capable of. And who knows, maybe he could become the second one to finish both, and maybe even win one or both of them on the Dame Day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.